Now, to put context, in the story of Hagar and Ishmael, in the book of Genesis 21, the Bible says, verse 14, so Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water and gave them to Hagar, putting them on her shoulders, and sent her and the youth away. Welcome to this channel once again. In today's conversation, we're just picking up from where we were talking about biblical lessons for life abroad. Yeah, so we're picking lessons from the people who were living abroad or living in foreign countries in the Bible, and helping ourselves understand how we who have found ourselves in foreign countries, how we can navigate the life without losing ourselves, without losing our identities, without even forsaking our purpose. So just to navigate life, because I believe there is a very important reason why God has taken you to that country. God has taken me to the country I am in today. There is a reason why God has taken you to that country, and there is a reason why God will take you even to that other country. So if you're out there, you are already living in a foreign country, or you are out there, you are aspiring to go to a foreign country, stick around so that we can learn from biblical examples of people who left their country, they went to another country, and when they were in the foreign land, how they were supposed to live. One thing I must commend countries that really take care of the foreigners or people who are just temporarily living in their country is because in the Bible it is encouraged that you treat foreigners with kindness, you treat them with dignity and all that. So we find that there are people, there are countries who are very welcoming to foreigners. There are also other countries that really, like right now, we have cases of countries that really harass foreigners and something like that. But it is very important that we understand that it is biblical. It is biblical actually for a country to welcome foreigners. And God knows why He's taking you from your home country to another country. So there are people who will find themselves in a foreign country not because they really wanted, but because maybe they were sold to slavery. Even modern day times, we still have people who do slavery. Or there are people who go to other countries because they are looking for greener pastures. You know, we always say, I'm looking for greener pastures. There are also other people who God ordained them to go to other foreign countries. There are people who go abroad because they want to go and do studies there, and when they get to finish their studies, they find that those countries are places they can settle in. So it's very important that if you're living in a foreign country, how do you cope with the situation? Because this is not your familiar ground, this is not your familiar place. And number one, it's very important that you familiarize yourself with the laws of the country, familiarize yourself with the rules and the guidelines, the laws and the regulations of the country, so that you don't find yourself on the wrong side of the country. Sometimes, and most of the times, there are people who find themselves having challenges with things like visa applications. And a visa is basically a permit that allows you to enter or to stay in a certain country for a certain period of time. So there are instances when people will find they have visa issues. When we are talking about visa issues, there are people who will find that your visa has expired and you're not in a position to maybe get a new one, and therefore you get into something called overstay. So in those instances, there are many challenges that come with people who are on overstay, because if the authorities get you, then you can easily be deported. You cannot actually even be banned from entering that country again, or even you can even be put, first of all, you can even be put into prison or something like that. So it is very important. If, for example, you find yourself in such a situation, how do you go about it? Number one, there are countries that will give an amnesty, and an amnesty is basically a pardon for the people who have probably been unable to renew their visas, and so you're given a chance to make your visa, or you're given a chance to either rectify your status or correct your status, basically, if it is a resident status or something like that. You can be given a chance to just exit and go back to your country. But one thing about people who are on overstay is that there are challenges that they face that are not faced by people who have documentation. Because when there is a ransacking by the policemen and they catch you, you live like it's like you live with in hide and seek with the policemen or the authorities of the certain country. So it is a very tough season, because you never know when the policemen are going to come. You never even know when you're going to get maybe the resources to do the visa, and so you live that kind of a life where you are not stable, you are not settled, you're not, So those are some of the challenges that people face. Such challenges when they go into foreign countries. It is common. It is common, and it is there are also ways of getting solutions. I remember I was talking to a friend of mine who kept on renewing their visa status until they got the permit. And also different countries, they have different statuses, different residential status. There are countries that will give you a limited or a temporary resident permit, and there are others that will give you a long-term permit. For example, maybe after living in that country for 5 years or 10 years, or depending with the regulations, then you're given a permanent residence. But there are other countries that you will have to keep on renewing your resident status. So it's very important. That's why I started by saying that you need to familiarize yourself with the laws of the country that you're going, or the country that you get yourself in, so that you can be able to know how to navigate. Some of these informations are not given to anyone beforehand, because unless you have someone who is there and also is willing to share with you things as they are, then you are able to get this. And this is where you find most of the agents who take people to different countries promising them jobs, they sometimes don't disclose the real information, unfortunately, and it is very sad. So that's why you'll find people end up in different difficult situations, because maybe they were scammed by the agents or something like that. Now, you have found yourself in a foreign country and you are finding yourself in challenging situations. How then do you stay hopeful? How then do you stay in those challenges? And remember, it is not like in your country where you can go to your parents. It's not like in your country where you can call your friends. It's not like in your country where you can rally behind your family can rally behind you. This is a foreign country, and a foreign country where unless God sends you divine help, unless God sends you divine help, then it is you and God. And we look at, in the Bible, we look at someone who got into a hopeless situation. And how did they navigate a hopeless situation? We look at someone we call Hagar. Hagar was the maid to Sarai and Abraham, to Sarah and Abraham. And when she got the child, and at some point they couldn't agree with the mistress, she was sent away. And she was sent away with the son. The funny thing is that how Abraham sent them away, he kind of sent them, packing them in a way that was a bit mean, considering that this was his son. Because he's just packed for them a small portion of food. I don't know how many days that portion of food would have lasted them. They got into the wilderness as they're trying to navigate their way back to where they came from. And they don't have water. And it's a wilderness. And you can find yourself in a situation whereby you're thrown out by your employer in a foreign land, and you definitely have to go and stay in the streets. And you don't have not only food, even water you don't have. Forget about clothing, forget about taking a shower, forget about taking a bath, forget about all that. We are talking about the basics. You don't have them. Reason being, you've been thrown out and you don't have anywhere to go. You don't have even air ticket to go back to your country. You don't have air ticket to go back to your country. What do you do? And you find yourself in the situation where Hagar and her son Ishmael, they found themselves. The baby is crying. The mother has no way of giving him water. And she did what she knew how best. Now, to put context, in the story of Hagar and Ishmael, in the book of Genesis 21, the Bible says, verse 14, so Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water and gave them to Hagar, putting them on her shoulders, and sent her and the youth away. And she wandered on aimlessly and lost her way in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water in the bottle was all gone, Hagar caused the youth to lie down under one of the shrubs. Remember, it is not even a tree, it's a shrub. Then she went and sat down opposite him a good way off, about a bow shot, for she said, let me not see the death of the land. And as she sat down opposite him, he lifted up his voice and wept, and she raised her voice and wept. And God heard the voice of the youth, and the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven and said to her, what troubles you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heard the voice of the youth where he is. Arise, raise up the youth and support him with your hand, for I intend to make him a great nation. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the empty bottle with water and caused the youth to drink. Now, even I stop at that. So you see, Abraham sent them with a bottle of water and bread. If it was fit to be put on Hagar's back, then it was very small. It was very little. So even if you've been sent away and you have nothing, there is a God who sees. Just cry out unto God. You know, there's a God who sees, and He sees you, and He's not going to forsake you. How we continue. Oh, she was in a desperate situation. I don't know whether people who are living in foreign countries can attest to this, but it happens. You will find someone. I know of a mother who was sleeping in the staircases with her child. And one day, when I was opening the door, he just got inside so fast, like someone was running away from something. It was during summer season. I remember it was during summer season. And when she got in, she had her baby. She was holding her baby. And now she's telling me she just wants to get some cold water and land the cold water on the baby. I just opened the bathroom and she went and showered the baby. We gave her some food, we gave her some water to drink, and sought some help for her to get a shelter. I'm telling you, it's a very tricky situation. At that moment, I was so moved because I was like, God, how did she? And when we were asking her how she goes about her daily life, she told us she sits in the stairs and sleeps in the stairs with her child until now she got helped. So you can imagine at that instant, she just needed water because the baby was so fussy. When it is summer and you don't have AC, you don't have a fan, it can be very, very, very crazy. I'm telling you. And I know there are people, not only in the country that I am in, there are people in other countries who go there and for one reason or another, they are thrown out. Whether for rent issues, because you see, when you're in a foreign country, I say the other day, unless God helps you, you can find yourself in very tricky situations. And that's why we need to hold on to God more than anything else. So this woman desperately needed help, and we helped where we could, and she sought help for a shelter, and I know she got helped. So back to Hagar and her son Ishmael. They found themselves in the wilderness. Don't even forget the fact that Abraham was the father to Ishmael, but look at Abraham and Sarah as Hagar's employers. Issues have risen and they have been thrown out. And as they're trying to find their way, they find themselves in the wilderness. And she had to put the child away because the child is crying. You know, and as a mother, your compassion towards your child, you cannot watch your child die. You would rather do anything. But now here you even want to do anything. You know, there are people, you find there are people who steal food, not because they really want it, but because they wanted just to feed their children. So she goes and puts the child away. The child is still crying. I want to tell you, if it is summer season like it is right now, I only imagine probably she found a tree, eh? You know, those desert kind of trees that don't even have an accurate, a good shade. And she put the child there. So the child is under heat, the child is thirsty, the child is hungry, the child is crying. But let me tell you, that cry, the Bible says, God heard the cry of her son. And the angel of the Lord spoke to her and opened her eyes, and she saw a well. And that's when they were able to get water. And she called God at that point she called God Eloi, Eloi, the God who sees, because she felt literally God has seen my case. So I want to tell you something. You probably could be going through that kind of a situation. You probably even don't have a shelter. You're probably sleeping in someone's garage. I have seen people even being interviewed and they were sleeping outside, they didn't have a shelter. Probably that is your situation. But there is a God who sees. And today, the God who saw Hagar and Ishmael struggle after being chased away by their employer because of different situations that arose. And remember, even God okayed that Abraham just do as Sarai is telling you. So she had to be sent away. So you could even be out for very varied reasons. For a crime that you committed, for a shortcoming that you had, probably you didn't pay rent and you were thrown out. Mhm. You could be out because of all manner of reasons. Probably someone even forcibly said something and you were thrown out. But even then, I want to tell you something. Even then, God sees you and God has a solution for you. Just a cry to God. A cry to God. The God who sees will open your eyes. You will see the well. And let me tell you, a well, for me, I look at it like this. A well is a refreshing, a well quenches your thirst. A well satisfies you. You know, when you have water, you have life, because water is life. You know, when you have water, you can refresh your body, you know. So a well is a source of refreshment, is a source of replenishment, is a source of restoration. It's a way of God restoring you. So even now, wherever you are, in whatever situation you are in, God sees you. Let's look at the other character in the Bible. And this is Elijah. Elijah has fought Jezebel. He has killed the false prophets. And Jezebel is running after his life. You know. And he gets to a place where he sits, he sleeps by the brook, and the brook dries up. Again, someone in a foreign country, someone in a foreign land, trusting God, but he is also hopeless. So it is possible to get hopeless. It is very possible to get hopeless. Even if you try as much as you can, it is possible. But even then, there is a God who sees. Because when Elijah was telling God, now, I am the only one left, and I think I'm ready to die. God was like, he sent the angel, he was like, Elijah, wake up, eat and drink. The journey is too long. So, my friend, you're not going to die. Forget those suicidal thoughts that are coming on you. Listen, you're not going to die. Even if you have told God, enough of this suffering, I want to die. God is not done with your case, because God still has a way for you. So Elijah was told, wake up, eat and drink, for the journey is still long. So there is no way God would have taken you from your country. How many people will never leave their countries? You know, you are among the people that God has allowed to step into a new country. Why? Because God has a purpose for you. Hmm? God has a purpose for you. So you think God will take you from your country to go and make you get ashamed or go and die in another country? No. It's God's will that He accomplishes His purpose and plan for your life. It is the devil's plan and scheme that he executes your life even when you're in a foreign country. And that is the devil's agenda. And we are not going to let the devil's agenda prevail. And that's why I'm encouraging you today. If you have gotten to a hopeless point, God is not done with you. Eloi still sees, because He's a God who sees. And He will open your eyes and He will send an angel to give you the physical nourishment, the spiritual nourishment that you need to move on, because the journey is too long. So if you're out there and you're going through a hard time, I want to encourage you. It ended well for Haggai and Ishmael. It ended well for Elijah. And even you, it will end well. You're going to make it. There is a reason why God took you where you are. But if you're in a foreign land and you're in that kind of a situation, rise up, be encouraged. God has a plan for you. So out of the struggles of being in a situation that looks hopeless and all that, if you feel forgotten, if you feel unseen, you know, these are people who couldn't even connect back to the people who sent them away, like Hagar and Ishmael. For the case of Elijah, he couldn't even go back because Jezebel was running after him. Even then, I want to encourage you that God sees you. I want to encourage you that God is seeing you. I want to encourage you that when He sees you, He's going to make a way. Just cry out to God. Because what we find with these two people is that one, Hagar and her son cried out to God. Literally. Sometimes you just need to cry that cry unto God. I have seen people who are rescued and given shelter and given funds were raised for them to get a shelter simply because they cried and they were in that kind of a situation. So hold on. Don't kill yourself. Don't commit suicide because you're in such a situation. In this world, there's nothing new. The same challenges that you're going through, you will overcome them. And tomorrow you'll be the person being hopeful, being a hope to someone else. So hold on. Hold on. So if this message encourages you, if this message blesses you, share it with someone who would want to be blessed by the same message. Subscribe, and God bless you so much.